Welcome into another edition of The Meltdown. Happy to have you here on this Monday. Monkey Man beat down the first Omen this weekend as Godzilla and Kong remain kings of the box office. Wrestling's biggest story, which also featured plenty of beatdowns, ended at Wrestlemania this weekend as the future of WWE looks brighter than the current solar eclipse in which we're witnessing. Is it happening yet? We'll let you know. Jonathan Majors, the actor once known as being Marvel's Kang the Conqueror, received his sentence in a New York court today, and today's Lunce's list profiles 5 great films that have tried to warn us about technological takeovers. This is The Meltdown, presented by MyBookie, broadcasting live from the Culver studio.
2 big boys in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know that makes sound. A meltdown, it's the meltdown, time for the meltdown, coming for the meltdown, let's start the show.
To all of you, our lovely Meltdonians, thank you for being here with us for yet another week of this little experiment that we call The Meltdown. We appreciate all of those that are watching live right now on Facebook, X, Twitch, and YouTube. If you can, make sure you hit thumbs up on that video today. It really does help us, and we appreciate you making us a part of your daily routine as we are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. If you have not yet subscribed, I don't know what word just came out of my mouth there, please make sure you subscribe. Help us out there on that journey to 2,000. The other half of The Meltdown is John Lunsford, who was correct about Alabama basketball's road to a national championship ending at the hands of UConn this weekend. It's one of those you hate to be right about, right?
It is a burden being right all the time because I know the negative things are going to happen. I knew Monkey Man would win the box office this weekend. I knew, at least over the first Omen, I knew Alabama would lose this weekend. I knew this eclipse would be disappointing because it is currently not as dark as it was last time we saw the eclipse. So if you missed the one, whenever that was like 6-7 years ago, whenever that was, it was a lot better than this one. So yeah, it's just been kind of
2017.
Been kind of a disappointing weekend.
Disappointing weekend overall. I mean, there was a lot of stuff to enjoy to watch at home. We did a lot of our movie watching while you were in Nashville at the end of the week, but a lot of home entertainment content.
It was a good Thursday. It was a good Thursday with the Preds. It was a good Thursday, I'm sure, for y'all with the movie. But, yeah, Saturday, not so much. Sunday, I know we'll get into WrestleMania here in a second, but
we will.
It's pretty much all I consumed was WrestleMania.
Producer Tyler's here, and you have some Disney-centric news to share with the class. What's going on, Tyler, in the world of entertainment?
Yes, I do. So Disney has announced 3 new release dates for Toy Story 5.
Yes.
Forgot the number there. The live-action Moana, as well as
Mandalorian and Grogu.
The Mandalorian and Grogu
We're
movie.
having I think the eclipse is affecting our ability
They're making
to be
a
able
Mandalorian
to
Grogu
formulate
movie?
words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of just going with TV, they're going to make a movie with it.
I like it. I like the move.
I do, too.
When was the last time we had a Star Wars movie? Rise of Skywalker?
2019. So
Awful.
it's been a hot minute.
How old is Grogu going to be when they film this?
Well, he's about,
So
50, he's about 50 now.
He's
so.
going to be grown goo.
Yep.
Hey, if he's 50 and not grown yet, he still has a way to go.
Yeah.
The good thing about working with animatronics and puppets and all of that, Rockstar, is that they don't age out of their roles like the Euphoria or Stranger Things kids.
I guess Pedro Pascal can't take his helmet off, so he technically didn't have to be there.
Pedro Pasquale.
Yeah, I couldn't get the words out.
Serves a hell of a pizza pie.
No, Stromboli. It's amazing. Pedro Pascal.
Pasquale and Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Chalamet.
Hey, guys, this was Tyler's segment. What have we done? Tyler, you have some news for us, right?
Let's see if I can do it this time. Live-action Moana,
Yes.
Toy Story 5,
Boom.
Mandalorian and Grogu movie,
Round of
all
applause.
announced to be released in 2026.
Damn.
That's all we got?
bit
We just got
far
a
out.
general year? That's
Yep.
it?
That's
when
all I
you told
got.
me we had release dates,
I could have
thought
told you they're going to come out in the next few years.
Well, when's the new Avatar coming out?
the next time there's a solar eclipse, probably.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Everybody's on fire today.
The solar eclipse closer together
Just
than
like
the
the
Avatar
sun.
sequels.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Rockstar's here with us. Rockstar, you were the selector of our very first retro trailer reaction film. You have the little slip of paper, I believe, right over there, don't
Be
you?
behind the bucket.
What does it say for those who did not watch the Friday show?
It says the game from 1997
It says The Game from 1997 is exactly what it says.
Starring Michael Douglas and Sean Penn.
Coming up today at 4 o'clock here on the channel, we will release our very first ever retro trailer reaction. The point of this series is to look back at some films that hold a near and dear place in our heart and give you our thoughts. Some of these we've never seen before and have been selected by other participants here of the Meltdown. And some of these we've all seen numerous amounts of times, and it's going to be a random draw out of the submissions that have been given to us by ourselves, because we all put in 10 choices. We have 40 movies to get through in season 1. We're going to make it happen.
Long season.
One a week.
May or may not be the only David Fincher movie in there.
Jeez.
Yes. Oh, that's a little bit of a heads up there, a little bit of a spoiler alert. John can't help with the spoilers. He's got to have...
May or may not be. I mean, may or may not be a solar eclipse going on right now.
Let me see. What David Fincher movie could John possibly have
I
chosen?
literally mentioned like 5 in the review that I've seen.
It's
And
got
enjoyed.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
That's not going to be that one.
It's good comedy.
I promise you, it's got to be one he's seen.
It's going to be Mank, starring Gary Oldman.
I actually have not seen Mank. That was the one
It's
that year
pretty
I
good.
did not see.
It's pretty good.
So we will
Black and
have...
white. I didn't want to see it.
We
Black
will
and white
have the
movie.
game directed by David Fincher as our initial retro trailer reaction. We appreciate your support watching that. Country music star Morgan Wallen got arrested. Rockstar, this doesn't make musicians like yourself look good when this kind of stuff happens.
It seems like it. I disagree with that because people like him. It seems like he sells more records.
That's true.
You're not wrong,
I
actually.
mean, like he's not. Has it hurt him? He had a big problem about a year ago, didn't he? And I don't see any problem with he has not.
His big album was called Dangerous, so
There
you're
you
right. I guess he's living up to the hype there of that. But the arrest took place in Nashville late Sunday for allegedly throwing a chair off of a downtown rooftop bar.
Can you imagine
Allegedly.
walking down Broadway and it's like, oh, there it comes.
Ruin a bachelorette party.
Innocent until proven guilty, Tyler. In an X post this morning, there just happens to also be surveillance video of this happening. In an X post this morning, Metro Nashville police confirmed Wallen was arrested on 3 felony charges of reckless endangerment. Throwing this chair off of the rooftop really could have seriously injured or killed somebody. There's no doubt about that.
Because those are 4 or 5 stories tall, some of them.
Yep.
There's no doubt about this is a serious thing. According to an arrest affidavit obtained by WTVF, several Metro Nashville police officers were standing outside of Chief's Bar on Broadway, which I almost pulled the trigger on buying tickets to Chief's Bar for an Eric Church residency there, but they sold out so quickly, and the prices in the resale market and everything are going to be so through the roof.
Well, they have an open seat right now.
They do?
Yeah.
You have one ticket available?
No, the chair he threw. They have one.
You got to sit outside.
There's one seat available.
It's out there.
So I just really want to see the show. There are only a handful of acts that I really love, and Eric Church is right there towards the top of the list. This all happened just before 11 p.m. on Sunday night when a chair fell from above and landed just feet from where they were standing. Employees of the bar told police that the defendant, identified as Morgan Wallen, threw the chair from the top floor of the 6-story restaurant and bar. This is the newest bar. They're located on Broadway. Surveillance camera footage from the bar's rooftop showed Wallen lunging and throwing an object over the roof. According to the report, witnesses who saw the incident unfold told police that they saw Wallen grab a chair and throw it, noting that Wallen was laughing afterwards. Something tells me that alcohol had something to do with this.
Go ahead.
Wallen's attorney, Warwick Robinson, confirmed the singer's arrest in a brief statement to CNN, saying, quote, "At 10:53 p.m. Sunday evening, Morgan Wallen was arrested in downtown Nashville for reckless endangerment and disorderly conduct. He is cooperating fully with authorities."
Was he performing or was he just there?
So him and Eric Church are tight. Eric Church ended up sort of taking him under his wing to try to be a mentor to him and try to bring him in. They go on fishing trips.
So far, so good.
He tries to be sort of a steady hand in a rocky world for him. And this is, I assume he was hanging out at Eric Church's bar because they're close. And I forget your question, but
Was he performing?
actually-
he was not performing from what I know.
Okay, because you had one of the 6,000 country music awards was last night too. Was it not? So why wasn't he there?
Biggest night in country music.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you how I found out about the story this morning. This is my world. I wake up this morning and it's instantly, hey, did you see the latest Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce thing?
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. I've already forgotten what it was. It's like, oh yeah, I think I saw that thing. Yeah, they're going to go to some award show, and they're did this, and Travis got this. By the way, did you see Morgan Wallen got arrested last night? I'm like, oh, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, did you see the bar he was at? Chiefs. Get it?
It's all coming together.
That's the only reason she told me about that.
It's all coming together.
After I woke up and got that news. That's my life now.
Okay.
It's all full circle. Hey, Morgan Wallen may be on the new album. Who knows?
Wallen is 30 and is facing 3 counts of reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon, a Class E felony in Tennessee because the chair landed near 2 police officers and for the danger to the public, according to the affidavit. He's also facing 1 count of disorderly conduct. His bond was set at $15,250. According to the Davidson County Criminal Court website, he now has a court date scheduled for May 3rd. So we'll be seeing him in court there, and I think it lines up perfectly with his upcoming tour.
I like how it didn't just land next to an empty pedal car. It landed next to 2 police officers. Yeah. It's like, where did that come from?
I'm curious what
Morgan.
Next, I'm curious what next 2 is. 15 feet? A foot? What's next 2?
At least where they could have seen it, I guess. Where did that chair come from?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
it's raining chairs. Hallelujah.
It's fortunate that no one was seriously injured in all of this, for sure. But this will be something that Morgan Wallen diehard fans will brush to the side and be like, nobody got hurt. He was just being silly. There'll be all types of...
the pressure he's under?
That's also come out.
To perform and write these songs. Like, he's stressed.
Right.
Last thing I remember about him was when he did his whole thing about I have to go on vocal rest when he had just had that Ole Miss, I think it was Ole Miss incident happen. It's like, you're 100% going to rehab, dude. Like, just say that and we'll probably respect you more than making up whatever you're making up.
Yeah, he missed the second night of a concert there at that stadium. A lot of people thought it was because he was too drunk to perform, too hungover, completely out of it, would have made a complete mockery of himself and probably completely tarnished his career worse than just not going on stage. That's how bad it reportedly was. But it was covered up by saying... seemingly, he just needs vocal cord rest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we're not watching one of these situations where somebody's just going to crash and burn in front of us. I think everybody wants this kid to be able to perform at his best as an entertainer, but at the end of the day, as a human being, just be all right. And I think he's far from that right now. It does feel a little bit like the whole Jackson Maine storyline from A Star is Born.
Yeah.
It kind of has that same sort of vibe.
Got a big nose. Nose is too big.
Still sounds like Buffalo Bill from Sunset.
What do y'all think about me?
Look at you.
What do you think about me using this voice for the? Why would you do that? I don't know. We couldn't get Chris Pratt.
I thought the voice worked for me. I didn't have a problem with the voice.
That killed me. Right when the first scene, I was like, "Why is he talking like that? Why is this going to be the whole film, or is this like this is his drunk voice?" No, this is how he's talked the whole film.
At least
to be fair, he was drunk pretty much the entire film.
At least that's one voice where I never have to worry about the Pittsburgh thing coming into play because you can't get an octave high enough in that voice.
Hello, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
That's fine.
Welcome, Pittsburgh.
That one doesn't trigger me at all.
Your city has abandoned you.
That's we're going to look at you, Pittsburgh.
Now it is starting to sound a little bit more like Bane gurgling water. Jonathan Majors was sentenced in court today. The Associated Press reported today on actor Jonathan Majors being sentenced to probation and avoiding jail time altogether today for assaulting his ex-girlfriend in a high-profile case that has derailed the once promising star's career. The 34-year-old star of Creed 3 and other films had faced up to a year behind bars after he was convicted of misdemeanor assault by a Manhattan jury in December. If you're a part of Majors' PR team, if you're his attorney, if you are someone who relies on Majors getting more work in the future in order to be fundamentally sound in your own finances, John, this is a big win for Majors and his team today from avoiding jail time.
He's already in jail when it comes to movies, though, because I don't know how you can cast him, at least for the immediate future. I don't know how you can cast him in anything. The first movie he pops up in, it's like, oh, that's that guy that, beat his girlfriend. And that's in the court of social opinion, that's really what matters. You can't sell tickets. So, I mean, he's got a good filmography. It is now cut short, and I don't know what else goes on that.
You may remember that following the guilty verdict, Majors was immediately dropped by Marvel Studios, which had cast him as Kang the Conqueror, a role that had just started up in terms of its momentum, a role envisioned as the main villain in the entertainment empire's movies and television shows for years to come. This was a role that Marvel had put a lot of stock into, John, and now they're left sort of scratching their head of what they do. I'm sure that Kevin Feige already has a plan. From what I've been hearing, the goal is to recast this role, that there's already too much buildup to Kang being a thing. And these last few movies have been so disposable. And also Kang has the ability to replicate himself in a way that could change his appearance if he wanted to.
It could, but I think the most recent season of Loki, not to spoil what actually happens in Loki, but from a Jonathan Majors standpoint, set the stage perfectly to where if you wanted to move on, you could move on. And I brought it up before, the biggest thing now, and obviously you didn't know what was going to happen, at the time, but in retrospect, you can go back and say, having the whole Council of Kang to the end of Ant-Man Quantumania is kind of where you're stuck, because there is every Kang there, and they are all literally Jonathan Majors, just with different makeup on, basically. So that's where you kind of put yourself in trouble, that there wasn't multiple different looking people. Now, you can play the standpoint of it's Nathaniel Richards, so it's a Fantastic Four tie, because it seems like the Fantastic Four movie is going to be in another universe from what we currently have with the MCU. You can take that route. You can take a route of just recasting him and just pretend like it's the exact same person. I think the best route is to move on to another villain. There's been talk of Doctor Doom could be that guy. Beyonder could be that guy. There's a lot of different people that could be in Secret Wars, because you've gotten rid of Kang Dynasty and are just moving straight into Secret Wars. Just do that and move on to somebody else.
You only have to get the Kang transition to a new actor right once, and then from then on they can cook with the storyline they already had in place.
Have you seen Marvel lately?
I have seen Marvel lately.
I say just move on, find you another really good villain, and just move on to something else, because you played it perfectly where you could get rid of Kang right now if you wanted to. I don't think they want to, but you could do that.
Judge Michael Gaffey also ordered Majors to complete a 52-week in-person batterers intervention program. I don't know. What is that program like? I mean, honestly, what do you do on week 2 and week 3 and week 4? You have to go through 52 weeks of this program.
Have you hit anything
I
this
don't know
week?
why they didn't just say a year.
Well, they went with 52 weeks.
That is
Well,
true.
my attorney got me 2 weeks off.
He also has to continue with therapy. The conviction stemmed from an altercation last March in which Major's then-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, accused him of attacking her in the backseat of a chauffeured car, saying he hit her head with his open hand, twisted her arm behind her back, and squeezed her middle finger until it fractured. Majors claimed the 31-year-old British dancer was the aggressor, flying into a jealous rage after reading a text message from another woman on his phone. He maintained he was only trying to regain his phone and get away from Jabari safely. Now, the video that we saw showed Majors running through the streets with Jabari flagging behind, which seems to have occurred after the assault that he was found guilty of. It's a messy, messy story, and it's one that Disney wanted no part of, John.
You see just enough in the car of a struggle, whoever initiated it and whatever actually happened in the car, that still is not a good look regardless. The way Jonathan Majors had played it has not been the best. There's this scene of him breaking up a fight that looks so staged, like it's a PR move all of a sudden. Megan Good randomly by his side and everything. Then that kind of came out of nowhere about the time this all happened, and it's another actress who hasn't gotten a lot of work lately. It's just weird, the perception of it all, everything that he's done since that moment, and still was found guilty. I know he's not going to jail or anything, but still, ultimately, it's like, well, you still kind of did it. That I just don't see socially how he can rebound from this.
Jonathan Majors really, his Creed 3 role, he's sort of living the gimmick here.
Yes.
And the whole point of that character in Creed 3 was to try to get back into the limelight. He didn't have a path in. And now it looks like a lot of paths are closed off for him. There is that, is it Magazine Dreams is the name of the movie? That he was already building critical acclaim for this as a bodybuilder, that it was going to be an Oscar, potentially Oscar-worthy performance in this movie, Magazine Dreams. I think Disney had the distribution rights on it, and they got rid of them. They said basically this movie's dead. Jonathan Majors is...
Yeah, Searchlight, so yeah, Disney.
Jonathan Majors, there's no way we can market him. He's the crux of this film. So that movie's just sort of lingering out there.
It actually was done before Creed 3 and Ant-Man Film Festival circuit, and they said, hey, we're going to grab this and go with it, and then had to drop it.
The biggest part of any movie is being able to market it and get people interested in it. And right now, Jonathan Majors is looked at as someone that you cannot sell to the general public because there's just going to be too many stories, and it's all going to look greedy from any production company that signs him on as an actor to participate in one of the films. There's nobody doubting his talent, John. Nobody's doubting his talent.
No, I mean, going into last year with Creed and just from the Creed Ant-Man standpoint and him being the big bad, the new Thanos, basically, we're all like, Jonathan Majors is the guy in Hollywood right now. There is no debating it. Everything he has done has been really good. Last White Man in San Francisco is one of my favorite movies of all time, which is kind of one of his starts. I mean, his talent, he was the guy, which makes it even more crazy that it all just got thrown away.
He was handed the baton, and instead of running with it,
He beat somebody with it.
he beat somebody with it. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
We have Sick Nasty Heat in the chat. Appreciate everybody that's here in the chat with us. Make sure you fill that chat up for us. We love interacting with you. I don't think Kang is the next big guy. Thanos was amazing. I think Doctor Doom would be the next big baddie. Well, Kang was supposed to be. We'll see if they stick with it. I think they're going to stick with it.
I still think from the beginning it was going to be for what it seemed like, Kang Dynasty was going to be, hey, bad guy, oh my gosh, there's actually somebody worse. We got to work together kind of thing now that they still could potentially do, but who knows what they're going to do.
Speaking of the MCU, Variety did an article today about Robert Downey Jr. potentially coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In other words, a slow news day, potentially. Speaking to Esquire magazine after his Oscar win for Oppenheimer last month, Downey was asked if he would ever return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the actor did not hesitate to answer immediately, yes.
Money.
Downey said, quote, happily, it's too integral a part of my DNA. That role chose me. And look, I always say, never ever bet against Kevin Feige. It's a losing bet. He's the house. He will always win. There's been a lot of speculation that Kevin Feige was sort of neutralized during the Bob Chapek era of Disney, that his power was diminished under Chapek, and it was about produce as much as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can. And the amount of quality that quality control started to lack in certain places. Now that Iger's back, now that the pieces are in place and they've been able to push away this coup that was happening with the Disney board, and they were able to fight that back of two guys, one of which being Nelson Peltz, who does not like Kevin Feige at all and questions everything about Kevin Feige's record. To be able to fight that off, Marvel and Kevin Feige are both going to be emboldened by that win. Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, told Vanity Fair last December that Downey's Iron Man will not return, as it would ruin his perfect exit in Avengers Endgame. Feel like we've seen this song and dance before with Logan. Now, Kevin Feige had nothing to do with that decision of how James Mangold handled Logan in the movie Logan and his send-off that was perfect. But he did have a lot of say in bringing Logan into the MCU. So are you buying that Kevin Feige is basically like Iron Man will never return to the MCU? Are you buying that?
No, he probably will. It may just be a quick cameo from another universe kind of thing. You can play it where it's not that Iron Man. It's not that Tony Stark with the whole multiverse moving around and everything.
But nobody wants that either.
But I'm not saying anybody wants that. I'm saying you could play that, and that's probably what they'll end up doing. But Kevin Feige easily could have respected the series that we have, because bottom line, when Disney bought Fox and we got all those movies, those are now part of the universe. And now that we already have X-Men actually on screen in the MCU with what happened in the Marvels, and obviously Deadpool bringing that as well, Deadpool's not following what happened in the two movies that weren't done by Disney. So he's basically, and I'm not saying we got to say how it is, because we brought this up. You got to respect the legacy of the Logan set in bringing Wolverine back. But he still could have respected the wishes. Just because he's the one that did the Iron Man death doesn't mean that it can't still be undone, because just because somebody didn't do the Logan death, he's still undoing that basically by bringing it back.
He's undoing it for sure, and I don't think James Mangold is happy about it one bit. Tyler, are you tired of all the multiverse stuff? Because I'm exhausted by it all.
I was exhausted from it years ago, like probably when Rick and Morty was like at its peak popularity. That's around the time I got tired of it, and Marvel's just been kicking a dead horse.
It's a lazy way to bring back anybody from any time period and do anything. If there are no rules in which we as cinema goers,
there's no stakes,
are to follow, there are no stakes. And we continue to see a lot of rules being rewritten as these movies go along. When you're making, though, Rockstar, 33 films and averaging about $1 billion a film, you talked about that immense pressure to continue that level of success. We've never seen that in film history before. I guess you can understand why maybe they want to create as many loopholes for them narratively as possible, because continuing that story is a difficult one.
Well, yeah, imagine being that director How much did you make for this film? We made $250 million. Well, that's a dud, my friend. Oh yeah, the budget was $300, so we lost money. So you can't make a $250 million. I cannot imagine the pressure, and it is. I'd watched all the Avengers stuff. I enjoyed it. I think it should have ended there. I'm not super excited about Deadpool and Wolverine. I just think it's just, and it may do well. I may be wrong, but
it will.
For me, it ended with Blue Beetle.
Okay.
No, it's just like that kind of stuff where everybody's getting a damn movie. I get it. Was he DC? He's DC.
He's DC.
Yeah.
But just that kind of thing where all these characters are getting movies, and I'm sure that made money. But people are still going to go see it. You guys will still go see it.
I don't think Blue Beetle made any money.
It wasn't
did
a
it?
smash hit. No, it wasn't. But James Gunn threw his weight behind it as being sort of like we're going to adopt this into the new DCU and everything. But I don't think it.
To be fair, not a terrible movie. Far from great, but a little underrated.
Real quick, what was the last great comic book movie? What was the last great comic book
Across
movie?
the Spider-Verse?
Spider-Verse.
Never saw it. I'd have to say Logan for me. I'm trying to think of. I'd say Logan.
Something in the way. It's the Batman is the answer. That's
That was
the
too
correct
long.
answer.
I thought it was a good movie. I didn't think it was the best.
Still have to wait a long time for that.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse is incredibly well done. It's just not my cup of tea. Feige said this, quote, "We are going to keep that moment and not touch that moment again," when talking about the snap that Robert Downey Jr. performs at the end of Endgame. Quote, "We all worked very hard for many years to get to that, and we would never want to magically undo it in any way." Feige's he's laying down the law here that Iron Man will never return. Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man will never return. But we all know that there would be no bigger shot in the arm than announcing Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is coming back. And at that point, you don't think the Disney investors would be thrilled? You don't think Iger would be thrilled? You don't think those that are wondering when Disney can get back to being a kingmaker, that they wouldn't be thrilled by that news? There's going to be enough money either missing or that can be offered up that's going to make this a reality.
Oh, and Robert Downey Jr. seems like he's on board with it himself. But, I mean, in the Deadpool trailer, you see, they're showing Deadpool, hey, we got to bring you into the Marvel Universe through the TVA, and they show the various big scenes from Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, which I know Thor's still around, but like Chris Evans, Captain America, and then Robert Downey Jr., they show all that, which shows, hey, we can bring you to this point in time. Just like in the first season of Loki, they showed everything that happened with Loki because that Loki didn't live the part.
Listen to yourself.
I know. Yeah. But the truth is that Loki didn't live dying to Thanos, which is what happened in Infinity War. So you have set the stage through Loki and just in the trailer of Deadpool, which is the same TVA that's in Loki, you've set the stage that clearly that still exists in the world that you can go visit it if you want to.
Let's talk a little bit about paying off storylines, which Marvel was really good at one point, and since they've gotten weak in that department of actually paying off investment. From this whole entire phase, we still have questions about what in the world happened in Eternals, and when are we going to get around back to that?
Captain America.
For sure. You think the next Captain America is going to be the one that addresses all that?
It's supposedly all about a fight over the minerals you get from that Celestial in the sea.
We need to start paying off some
answer that question.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Just keep going.
Last night, WrestleMania 40, Night 2.
The
ultimate storyline that we have been following for really, truly 3.5, 4 years now was paid off. Cody Rhodes wins the WWE Undisputed Championship. We were all waiting for it. Now, Cody has not been a part of this story for the past 4 years, but the man in which he took the belt off of, Roman Reigns, has been a part of that.
15 years.
And John, you have been so disgusted every single time you tune in to a wrestling event for the past 3.5 years, so disgusted by Roman Reigns continuing to get the W by any means necessary, were you finally exuberant at the result of a pay-per-view in what is being labeled as the biggest WrestleMania of all time in WrestleMania 40?
To me, it was not as good as Daniel Bryan winning 10 years ago.
It was better.
It was not as good to me. Now, I like Daniel Bryan more than I like Cody, just from the person that actually won the belt. But also Batista involved in that. But my complaint is not with Cody. I have no problem with Cody. Cody's fine. I enjoy Cody enough when he's in the ring.
Sure sounds like you're crapping on him to me.
I have gotten to respect Cody more by hearing him away from WWE, doing various podcasts and stuff like that. But what I do hate is Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has not worked to me since he was just basically muscle in the Shield, which by far the best part of the fight last night. But like there's a reason he had to put Paul Heyman with him. And I think to be somebody to hold the belt for that long, if you can't get on a microphone and talk, which I'm sure he does, but anytime I hear him talk, it's not near as good as anybody else. When Cody gets on the mic,
he's gotten much
Punk
stronger.
Gets on the mic, when Seth Rollins gets on the mic, when anybody else who's involved, and of course The Rock, anybody else that's actually involved as a fighting person.
Hate Roman Reigns. We got it.
It just doesn't work for me. So for now, in the grand, annals of time for WWE, when you look at who are the absolute best wrestlers, Roman Reigns is on that list because of how long they kept the belt on him. I mean, he's ahead of so many other big names. And when you say, hey, who's on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, Roman Reigns will never, ever, ever by any person on the entire planet ever be included in that discussion.
It's not necessarily true. His story is not yet finished. He has a chance to add more.
Please don't start. Oh, there's another story we have to finish now. It's Roman Reigns.
There's multiple stories lingering out there, but
Roman Reigns is not a good champion. He held the belt for 4 years. Okay. You knew he was going to hold it for the last year and a half until Cody took it off of him, which I guess a lot of people thought it was going to happen last year. It didn't happen last year, which means it's going to be for at least another year until Cody gets his other shot. And it just made it predictable also last night. It's like you knew Cody was going to win. The question is, how does he win? Now they brought a lot of people back, which made it fun to watch, but it just doesn't. Roman does not work for me, period. So I'm glad I didn't have the belt anymore. But it's less about Cody winning it than it is Roman losing it.
I think Roman will be taking a break. I think we're going to see him take a much-deserved vacation here, and he'll be coming back in some huge pop of a return at some point. But this really is about the next chapter. One major thing that was emphasized during this weekend was we are now in the Paul Levesque era. We are now in the Triple H era of wrestling. Do you feel confident as a more casual fan that you are going to be more interested by WWE in this era than you have been over the past 10 years or so?
If last night's match, even with bloodline rules or whatever, had been just, I don't know, if it had just been, hey, Roman versus Cody, mano a mano, who best man wins, and Cody ends up winning, no, I would not have been. I went back and watched. We had a whole conversation. I don't remember if it was with Brian or whatever. We had the conversation about Mankind winning the title. And I went back and watched that first match, and it was like Corporation versus Mankind and DX on the other side. And, like, that's cool to me. Stone Cold comes out. He's a part of it, which I know that's the one everybody was waiting for last night to come and didn't happen. But I thought the Undertaker part was good instead of having Stone Cold. But, like, I like when there's more people involved than just one person. I liked Roman Reigns in the Shield because it wasn't ever just Roman Reigns. It was multiple people every time. And, is there somebody pulling the strings behind it? Is it CM Punk? Is it somebody else? I like when there's a lot of people involved. So last night when the match got to a lot of people involved, it made me happy to see that. As long as things continue with that, as long as there's more groups of people, like, and the Bloodline, it would be included in that. I would like that more. I know Triple H was a part of that as well over his time in WWE. Last night makes me think, okay, things are on the right track as a casual fan, but I got to wait till SummerSlam and see, okay, well, Damian Priest has a title now. I don't give a rip about Damian Priest. Now, is that going to come off tonight potentially? Sure, I could see that. Why not? So. But, like, it's got to be Drew versus CM Punk or something like that, not Damian versus anybody. I don't care about that. You got to put the right people in place. For the most part, the right people are in place now, but not totally, so he still has some work to do overall.
Okay.
What I got all that? That's a casual fan.
That's a casual fan.
That's a casual fan.
Yes. He comes in and out of it. He likes the pops.
Yeah.
He likes the cheap pops.
But I was talking to my wife this morning about wrestling. She said, I didn't realize Tim was really that big of a wrestling fan. I said, I only watch wrestling now because Tim has brought it up for the last, 15 years we've known each other. It's like, hey, did you watch wrestling? Oh, yeah, wrestling exists. I guess I should watch that.
Wrestling used to be a currency in school to where if you knew what you were talking about, you could really make a lot of different friends with a lot of different groups because everyone was obsessed with wrestling growing up in the 90s. Everybody. It was the thing. Everybody was wearing the shirts. Everybody was talking about what was going to happen on Nitro and what was going to happen on Raw. And
I randomly found an old video of myself wearing a Best in the World shirt, by the way. So I did buy another wrestling shirt,
there you go.
old CM Punk shirt. But yeah, and look, I I'll say this too. Tyler brought this up in the chat about I Show Speed being in the Logan Paul match. That's going to help as well. I didn't know who I Show Speed was. He's dead as far as I'm concerned after the way he
Great
got
RKO.
slammed on that table. But like that's the kind of thing when it's like, who is that? Because I remember Ryan Brown bringing it up a couple years ago when KSI was there. I think he was in the Prime Bottle too back then. KSI, I didn't know who he was because that's who Logan kind of got into his fighting career with, doing celebrity boxing. But like that kind of thing has brought a new generation into it that's like, okay, I'm interested to see who this kid is. Oh, wow, he's got like 30 million subscribers on YouTube. He must be somebody. I need to find out more about this. Oh, you know what? That was a pretty good person to bring into a match like that. And I like Logan Paul. I still don't think he's like the absolute guy for the company.
He will end up being.
But he brings in a whole new audience, which is the only reason he would end up being there because of what he's done away from the ring and away from WWE. But all of that does give me hope for the future.
At any point of the night, I sadly I didn't get to see it. Night 2, you said. At any point of night 2, were the commentators shocked at any point?
Like, yeah.
Okay, I was just like,
you
they had no idea.
All weekend.
Which, by the way,
so they don't get much prep then. Like
the emotion behind the commentary team and the announcing team. The announcing.
Well, they carry it. They got. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, there was so much emotion behind what happened last night that it really is. And I don't want to be too knee-jerk here, but I think it is the most emotional moment in WrestleMania history, what happened last night. And I'm not trying to oversell
PSI and
I Show Speed getting RKO'd. That was emotional.
That didn't have anything to do with it.
What last night did was reward generations of wrestling fans for the first time in a long time, where everybody, it felt like, came back into the fold and had some sort of rooting interest.
Now I got to see what happened.
There's one
have
person
been rejuvenated going into Monday Night Raw tonight in a way that we haven't seen in years.
There's one person that was odd to come out at the end. So when Cody wins, everybody comes out, hugs him. Oh, yay. CM Punk randomly comes out there. Didn't they do a whole thing where Cody and CM Punk were just destroying each other a couple of months ago? Like,
well, not destroying, more like a.
And that was like, we're best friends. Congratulations. Oh my gosh, we're best friends.
It's more of a competitive tit for tat.
And then the announcing team, which Saturday night, Corey Graves and Pat McAfee were all on Roman Reigns, and then Michael Cole was all on Cody Rhodes. Then last night, I think they all kind of tried to play it level, and it's like, y'all are totally different last night. And then at the end, he goes and he hugs Michael Cole and just looks at the other two and was like, yeah, I'll acknowledge y'all too, and then leaves. It's actually kind of funny to see him. And I know Cole's been there forever doing this, and I don't really care for Corey Graves, and Pat McAfee's very new to it overall, but it was kind of funny to see him hug Michael Cole, and it's like, you two exist, and then walk off.
Rocky, this was the 5th time we've seen WrestleMania hosted over 2 nights. This one took place at Lincoln Financial Field. Night 1, all you heard was not only from the commentary team, but actually fans that were in attendance of just how miserably cold Night 1 was. And the performers in the ring, how miserably cold Night 1 was.
I noticed the heaters above the ring, at least on Night 2. It might have been there Night 1. I don't know.
How cold was it?
It was like 50 degrees.
Yeah, it was like high 40s.
But felt like it was in the 40s or something. And the crowd was almost unresponsive on Night 1. Night 2, completely different atmosphere because it was a comfortable weather pattern. Everybody was on their game. I thought going into this, Night 1 was the better stacked show on paper, but Night 2 actually ended up being just maybe the best single-day edition of WrestleMania that we've ever seen. And
which
I didn't know if I would say that coming out of this, but it truly was remarkable.
One more complaint. That mostly has to do with Roman Reigns.
I'm here going, this is truly the most remarkable WrestleMania ever. And you're like, I have another complaint to make.
When you say it all tied stuff together, like Celebration of Generations, was it, of course, when Jason Kelsey came in and wrestled? Was that?
No, that was Night 1.
That was Night 1.
But I'm talking
you just said Night 1 was better.
You had Rock coming in. You had Undertaker coming in. You had
Night 2
John
had a ton of
Cena
people
coming in. You had all these payoffs of all these different eras all at the same time in the same match.
And Cody winning.
Showing that we are entering a new era.
And Cody winning, obviously, his dad being involved with that as well. My biggest complaint is, this has to do with Roman Reigns, is they constantly tout how many nights Roman has main evented WrestleMania. I think you should not count it as 2 times main eventing WrestleMania because they're the last match on Saturday and the last match on Sunday. I feel like the whole separating nights was they started doing during COVID because they basically was it Full Sail during COVID when they did that? And they had it was basically an arena. And
I think it was, yeah.
And they
Full Sail
did 2 nights. Basically, we can spread it out. No fans are here, so we can do whatever we want to. We have the run of the facility. And they've done 2 nights ever since. But it's like Roman Reigns has main evented it more than anybody. But you look at it, and it's like 2 of them counted this past weekend. There's one main event of WrestleMania, and it was Roman versus Cody. That was it. So Seth Rollins did not main event. Seth Rollins was the first match last night. Seth Rollins did not main event WrestleMania. The Rock did not main event WrestleMania, although he was included.
Seth Rollins was involved in more matches than anybody this weekend.
I know, but he was not. The main event was Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. End of story. And it's like he's main evented so many times because he was on both nights. The whole reason it was both nights is because we messed up the Rock storyline and had to have something for him to do on the first night.
I think, John, that you should turn that frown upside down. That's what I would recommend. And I also recommend that you visit my friends at Alabama Dental Associates. They are going to make sure that you are well taken care of at Alabama Dental Associates. The staff there provides specialized care in both general and cosmetic dentistry. While they are well trained in the latest techniques and use state-of-the-art equipment, they never forget their number one priority, which is friendly, personalized care for their patients. They care deeply about the patient experience. I've had dental emergencies where I didn't know where to turn to because I didn't have a regular dentist, and I ended up finding that cleaning schedule that worked for me. I ended up finding that dental care schedule that worked for me. They have flexible hours there, located on Grants Mill Road. It is Alabama Dental Associates. Dr. Brian and Dr. Jeff are ready to see you if you're looking for a dentist and a place that you can trust that's going to take your care seriously. 205-956-8977. That's 205-956-8977, or you can email them at info@aladental.com. That's aladental.com. All right, let's get into the weekend box office. By the way, if you want more WrestleMania discussion, we are going to be having that tomorrow. We've booked Brian Pavlik to come back for another Pavlik six-pack. It was such a big hit the first time. Can't wait to get his reactions post-WrestleMania and post-Monday Night Raw. I know he'll be watching tonight. We didn't really want to do that today. We wanted to get the full story sort of encapsulated there with Brian so he could watch Raw tonight and then have that deep discussion tomorrow. Maybe by then, John, you will have come to your senses and realized just how incredible WrestleMania 40 was from
Damian
start
Priest
to finish.
will have lost the belt by then.
No, he will not. No, he will not.
Hey, you want to really make the Raw for WrestleMania good? Change belts again.
Let's look at the weekend box office. Number one this weekend, no shock here. Godzilla x Kong staying at the top of the leaderboard, pulling in $31.7 million. It was a little over a 60% drop, which is to be expected with a huge movie like this that a lot of people rush out to see week one. But still, it is Godzilla x Kong and then everything else when it comes to the weekend. And John, no surprise here that Godzilla x Kong was able to hold on to that top spot.
Nope, because it still had mostly big screens. I know Civil War will take that this week, but I am very curious to see how it will fare. Is anything else? I don't know if anything else is coming out this week other than Civil War.
Civil War, that's the big one.
But so Civil War will take the big screens, but I am curious to see how Godzilla holds now without the big screens, because it actually added, according to this, 87 screens this past weekend. So once it drops screens, I'm curious to see how it'll hold compared to Monkey Man, compared to the first Omen, that don't make a ton of money, but will still probably do okay based on strictly where they were here in the coming weeks. I feel like horror movies may only make $5 million first week, but then they'll make like $3 or $4 million next week, and then like $1 or $2 million. So drop wise, it's actually not that much.
Number two, Dev Patel's Monkey Man. It was targeting a $12 million debut. It ended up opening with $10.1 million. So coming in a little bit below expectations, but still outperformed its new competition this week. Tyler, I know you loved this movie, Monkey Man. It is a movie that you plan on seeing another time in theaters during its run at some point. Why did Monkey Man deliver so much for you, and maybe for those that saw it and can connect with you on your opinion as well?
So I'm a big fan of all of the revenge movies that it takes inspiration from. Old Boy, Kill Bill, John Wick, Game of Death, all of those. So it's just a new, fresh take on that with a little bit of Dev Patel's own personal cultural story and integrated into it as well.
Yeah,
Did he finish the story?
John,
It's a WrestleMania.
I still feel like you're being slightly disrespectful about the
You're
masterpiece
messing
of
with the
WrestleMania
bloodline.
40 that
Is it
we
bloodline?
saw.
The blood thief.
I think that my arguments would be stronger if Rockstar wasn't here, to be honest. But I don't want you to leave or anything.
No,
I
fine.
want you to stay.
I just think that you actually aid John's "this is all goofy" stuff when you do your stuff, and I
don't think it's goofy. I just think it's crazy. Like it's a massive following. Like I'm in the minority here. I know, but it's just like hearing people talk about when you're not in the know, going like, what the hell? Like KSI and Bloodline, and when Fuba Duba came in, and he betrayed the Harmanian Treaty, and you don't mace the Harmanian Treaty because that's been intact since Macho Man, and God rest his soul, Macho Man, his dying wish was we don't mess with Tyranny Treaty, and here we go with the KSI, and his PSI level went up, and the bloodline was broken. So
I just like how the treaty changed names every time
yeah,
you did it.
it's a very important document. It's the Magna Carta of WWFE, whatever it is now.
I think you just made my point for me.
Yeah. But like here, John like me, like it's like, oh my God.
I'm not saying it's goofy. I'm saying it's stupid.
This is exactly the way that you talk about poker too, Rockstar.
Okay, I can get into when it's a foreign language to you, witnessing it is just like it's like I'm watching two guys speak Gaelic, and I'm just like, what? I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to order.
That's how I feel when you play the guitar. I have no idea how to play the guitar.
But I'm not saying like, well, this is on a diminished seventh, Tim. I'm playing this, and this is a minor chord, but it's a diminished. I don't know how to read music, so that's about the whole vernacular I can give you.
Okay.
I don't get into the
That's
structure.
more than I know. We have Drew that says, for Lunsford not to really be a wrestling fan, he sure is doing a great audition to become a true IWC member there.
He's a casual fan, guys.
He's a casual fan. Okay. Monkey Man, there at the number 2 spot. Monkey Man, which both stars and is directed by Dev Patel, was initially planned for Netflix. Universal Pictures landed the rights after Jordan Peele said, hey, this thing needs a theatrical distribution window. Let's make it happen. It looks like this movie will become profitable during its theatrical run, and I am interested. Will it land on Peacock now? I assume so. After its run in the theater, that would be the one that makes sense.
Yeah.
Number 3, this is in my opinion, the most shocking thing that happened this weekend. Number 3, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Wow.
I thought this thing would be number 6.
So did I.
And it actually still has a pulse to it. Made $9 million, which is not great, but is still good considering that you had a new movie that debuted this week in The First Omen, which debuted in the number 4 spot. It was aiming for a $15 million start. Projections way off there as the 20th Century Studios film opened with just $8.3 million.
That's a bad omen.
Now, The First Omen was also supposed to be a straight-to-streaming endeavor. It was supposed to go to Hulu. It was supposed to be a Hulu movie, and they said, hey, let's throw this into a theatrical window. And it made more money than it was supposed to by not just going directly to Hulu. However, I feel like this movie's a little stained now with looking like a huge failure and huge disappointment. I saw The First Omen. Tyler, you saw The First Omen. I thought this was one of the best horror movies of the year. It really goes places where you're like, I can't believe they're going there. They had to continuously try to get an R rating instead of an NC-17, and I'm surprised that they got past what they got past with the ratings board with what I saw in The First Omen. It is truly it's a gross movie. It challenges you in different ways. For me, as a horror movie fan, it was a thrill ride that I really enjoyed and liked just slightly more than Immaculate, even though I would recommend that movie as well. Tyler, do you think The First Omen got hurt by the fact that Immaculate had come out just a few weeks before and pretty much has a similar story beat for beat?
Absolutely. All of us in here were confused as to which trailer was which movie for the months leading up to both releases. And then when they actually come out, the plots are very similar. The side characters, it looks like the same movie.
One has Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
One has Sydney Sweeney. The other has no notable star power. And that hurt The First Omen in its marketing. The film, once again, opening with $8.3 million. It is the 6th installment in the franchise and the first new entry in 18 years. The First Omen was budgeted and cost about $30 million to produce. The film takes place before the events of The Omen from 1976. And I think it's a very quality done horror movie. I think a lot of people will probably just wait for it to hit Hulu and watch it there, but
It's the best Disney horror movie of the year.
That is true.
It is. I agree that it is. Number 5, Kung Fu Panda 4 ends up holding at that spot at $7.8 million this weekend. At number 6, Dune Part 2, $7.2 million this weekend. Everything past spot 6 is a huge drop-off in terms of totals, so we're going to profile the top 6. The 6 that we thought, the 6 titles that would be 1 through 6, were all there, just in a different order than what we expected. Y'all thought Monkey Man would beat First Omen. First Omen was projected to make more. Monkey Man did beat First Omen. Congratulations on that. John, you've really been on a hot streak of all of your knowledge ever since you won Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia.
It happens.
Which, by the way, unlike Roman Reigns, you'll have to be a defending champion.
Oh, I'm a fighting champion. I don't disappear for months like he does.
On Wednesday, we are going to have another edition of Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia.
Is it Bloodline rules?
It is not Bloodline rules, but we are going by the what treaty again?
The Toronto Treaty.
It is different every
Change
time.
it every time.
You're right.
Love Lies Bleeding, great up per theater average, by the way.
Oh, God.
This weekend?
This past weekend, yeah.
Yeah. What did it end up in the number 12 spot?
I thought, okay.
That's an improvement.
I think it was number 12. I think
No, it is an improvement. It went up 2 spots. Average $2,400 per theater.
there you go.
That's Scrooge McDuck money.
People are beating down the doors. All you have to do is decrease the amount of theaters it's in, and all of a sudden it's theater per average.
Better
goes
than
way up.
Ghostbusters and Kung Fu Panda 4.
You just have to decrease the number of theaters it's in. That's how it works, John. Take a
Literally-
big number.
I
and-
literally made this argument, by the way, last time, but
I don't know why
I could make this argument for the end of Evangelion re-release, and
gosh.
everybody would laugh at me in here because
No, if it was high, I'd give you
Rockstar,
credit.
get him.
it was
Get him,
packed out. There
Rockstar.
wasn't an
I've
empty
seen
seat.
Evangelion, and it's really good. The ending was, but I'm saying that the writing and the screenplay, Boom Gaff was amazing.
Okay. How about we get to this? Before we all tear each other apart in this tiny studio. It's called Lunce's List. Developed technology is a wonderful tool, but it also has a dark side to it that warns us all of what the worst threat to humanity can look like. With the seemingly unstoppable rise of AI, the future will be one full of challenges. Which films that deal with this subject are the best? Let's get ready to discuss John's personal picks on another brand new edition of Lunce's List.
What is this? What is this? Nonsense list, nonsense list, oh. What is this? What is this? Nonsense list, nonsense list, oh. Nonsense list to five. Nonsense list to five. Nonsense list to five. Nonsense list to five.
I like for that thing to exist all the way through.
Sorry,
so
I
I
thought you were
can.
gonna
No, you're good. John, name your 5 favorite movies other than 2001: A Space Odyssey, which we all know you love and enjoy and will put on every list that you possibly can. Other than 2001: A Space Odyssey, name your 5 favorite movies that feature terrifying technological advances.
So Terrifying comes off as horror movie to me, but I don't see a lot of horror movies. So Terrifying is not a horror. I didn't go with Terrifying in terms of horror movies. I went Terrifying in
Scenario.
There's nothing scary about that movie, but what if?
See, that I'm fine with that.
Okay.
No, I don't need it to be blood and guts. I need it to be
Because none of these are.
I need
Rams
it
and
to
ROMs.
raise questions where you're like, what does this mean for us as a species? That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
that's pretty much what I did.
All right. And I'm willing to take anybody in the chat that has their version of Lunce's List. We call it the at-home edition, thanks to Brian Pavlik. I think he gets a nickel for every single time that's mentioned here on the show. So, John, is there anything you need to do to set up this list, or are you ready to rock and roll?
Let's go.
Let's go with number 5 on Lunce's List. These are the 5 movies that John enjoys that feature terrifying technological advances or raises terrifying questions that we don't yet have the answers to, maybe, over what technology could mean for us in this solar eclipse type future.
Number 5, The Island.
Number 5, The Island.
By the way, it got a lot brighter outside and then started raining, so it's the same kind of darkness pretty much.
I never noticed any difference whatsoever.
Only
throughout
because
the
It's almost like y'all are
I
indoors.
didn't either until
we
you
opened the window.
just
I
said
just been
something.
staring at it the entire time. It's like it got a little brighter, and then it started raining, so it got back dark. Very
It's
disappointing.
raining outside. It's not raining in here, so I don't notice anything.
Very disappointing eclipse today. Anyway, The Island, my favorite guilty pleasure, bad movie, Michael Bay film starring Ewan McGregor, Scarlett Johansson. So the tech here is cloning technology, and basically, even just saying that essentially spoils it. But it's a movie from like 20 years ago. So
Look, at this point, I don't have a problem with spoilers when it comes to these movies. You're supposed to be making the point of why they are terrifying technological advances.
All of these movies have been out well long enough for you to have seen it by now. So basically the whole point of the movie is they clone people. Like, let's say I was really rich. I went into them and said, hey, I have a heart condition, so clone me a perfectly healthy John clone. And then when my heart gives out, I can just get my own heart. Basically, I don't have to worry about like finding a donor. My donor is myself, the clone that you made of me. But the whole premise is they basically take these clones and put them in a facility and tell them the world has ended. And you live in this facility, you eat super healthy meals and like get built basically to peak physical shape. So that way when it's time to get my heart, it's a perfectly healthy heart. And you win the lottery at that point. And when you win the lottery, they tell you they're taking you off to a paradise island. That's the only place on earth that's been untouched by whatever has happened in the world. And what they really do is they take you and they cut your heart out and kill you. So it's
lottery.
I thought you said these weren't violent. I just feel
it's
lied to.
Michael Clark Duncan, pretty good in it as well. Sean Bean's the bad guy in it. It's a really well done movie, but it's all about the technology of like cloning and the effects of not just cloning just to have a clone, but the cloning and what does the clone feel, basically, like what is on that side. So Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson are clones of famous people out or rich people out in the real world. I think Scarlett Johansson's like a famous person. Ewan McGregor's just like an independently wealthy person. And they try to escape out in the real world. Steve Buscemi is like a maintenance worker there and helps them escape out to the real world. But it's very much about, hey, when you clone somebody, how does the clone feel? It's not about how you feel because you're the exact same. All they do is take some DNA and clone somebody. So that's kind of more the terrifying part is like when you clone something, how is the clone supposed to actually feel within the world?
I've never seen this movie. Tyler, have you seen this movie?
I have not.
Rockstar?
Nope. I see this on TNT all the time.
It's definitely a TNT, TBS, USA,
This one
FX kind of
pops up
movie.
a lot.
Yeah.
Is it rated R?
No, PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. It sounds very violent. It's not really violent.
It does.
Anyway, it's a good one. I do recommend it. It's definitely a Michael Bay movie when you watch it, but futuristic, pretty cool.
Let me just do a quick spoiler here of asking about the list. Would 2001: A Space Odyssey had been number one on your list if it was?
It would have been number 2.
Okay.
The AI of HAL 9000 would have been probably number 2.
Okay. Let's go to number 4 on Lunce's list, counting down the 5 movies that remind us that technology, maybe not our friends. Or if it is our friends, there's consequences into relying on it to continue to achieve previously unachieved human feats.
Freaky Friday. Oh.
Tron.
Number 4, Tron.
Let me explain.
I think there's another Tron coming out at some point.
Supposedly, it's been back and forth. I think them doing the roller coaster is the biggest sign of, hey, they may actually go forward with it because they got to sell some merchandise. But imagine, okay, Tron, Jeff Bridges. There's like this ray that shoots him and brings him into the computer world. Imagine if people got their hands on that technology, and the government even got their hands on that technology, to where basically I could shoot a ray at you and it would put you right here. And basically you could create a digital prison for people, but you could also get the wrong hands get on that tech and create a digital prison that I could just take the ray and go, and all of a sudden you live in the computer and I have you locked in the computer forever. Your entire being has been put inside the computer. The tech in the wrong hands with that could be terrifying. Because, he gets to go on the computer and, be a part of the video game that he likes to play in the arcade. But
if you were to put that tech in the hands of Lance Taylor, you'd end up in a recycle bin for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
correct.
That would be devastating.
Permanently deleted.
Where you live in 404 page error?
I mean, pretty much. Now, like, the world of Tron Legacy, the way they brought it into the 21st century, I thought was really cool. And it's like, hey, that actually probably be fun to live in. But if you think about it from the standpoint of, I literally could just zap you into my computer and put you on a hard drive and then bust the hard drive and you're dead at that point. I mean, it's kind of terrifying when you think about what the technology could actually be used for. So that's why it's like, Tron's not a movie. What's wrong with Tron? Tron's like a cool movie. It is. But boy, that tech in the wrong hands could put you in a bad place.
So Tyler, you told me something in confidence weeks ago that
You hate Tron.
No, I've brought this up on the show before.
Okay.
That one guilty pleasure that you have are music biopics.
Yes.
You like music artist biopics, and you even told me bad music biopics. Like you don't mind watching the garbage ones either, which is why I think you'll love the new Amy Winehouse biopic. That's
I'll go
coming
see
out.
it.
Yeah,
It looks bad.
we'll go check that out. It does not look great. The more I see of it, I'm like, this looks like a Tyler guilty pleasure to me.
See, I feel like that movie's right in my sweet spot with music biopics because I don't have a ton of attachment to Amy Winehouse. I like Valerie all right, but I don't know a ton of her music, so I'm not going to be like nitpicking the movie like, oh, that doesn't look like her. They got this concert wrong. I'll just watch it and listen to music.
Is there any chance that's tonight's Screen Unseen? Is there a chance that's what Tyler's walking into?
I would prefer it more than Boy Kills World.
I feel like it's too far ahead
I don't know.
to be tonight. But
it'd be ironic if it was.
I only know who Amy Winehouse is because of Rockstar, because you used that Rehab song in a trash open back in the day.
She had great hair.
John, you have a guilty pleasure when it comes to films, and it is these type of films, the ones that really raise technological questions. Why you love Black Mirror so much?
Now, Black Mirror could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I could just let, name episodes.
We will eventually get to a Lunce's list that just profiles Black Mirror. So this is your warning now that if you want to stay up to date with all the Lunce's lists, go watch every season of Black Mirror and then come back. And by then we will hopefully have a Lunce's list that you can approve of.
I'd say go watch Westworld too from a technological standpoint, but it doesn't exist anywhere. They killed it. They took it away from everything.
That's true. All right, let's go to number 3 on Lunce's list of the 5 movies that say technology kind of could cause some problems. Number 5, The Island. Number 4, Tron. I feel like we're about to start getting into the meat and potatoes of this list with number 3. I can feel it coming this way. Number 3.
Oh, The Social Network.
Social Network.
That's kind of like The Social.
I feel like we have
never seen it.
Discussed some Social Network.
The Circle. I haven't seen that one.
Oh.
That's another TBS movie.
This is a 2-for-1 you're going with on Lunce's list?
I am, because I feel they kind of go together. So
it's a heck of a double feature, huh?
The Circle had a lot of promise.
Tom Hanks,
Emma Watson coming off Harry Potter, John Boyega coming off Star Wars. Had a lot of promise. It did not live up to the promise. However, whole point of it is basically Emma Watson goes and works for an Apple-style company, and they have a social network that basically she becomes the test pilot for somebody who's like a 24/7 social network person, and she wears like a camera where she, everywhere she goes, is basically broadcast to the world. And it's kind of like a new age Twitch / Facebook kind of combination thing. But the social network, and we brought it up, it was right on the list before we even brought it up earlier today, that it is Facebook being established, the algorithms that Facebook have, the fact that any app I open up on this phone right now knows personal stuff about me, whether I want it to or not, and the terrifyingness that goes with that. Circle taking it kind of to another step when it comes to what social network could actually be. But, I literally wrote, so I like to make notes on this to make sure I say everything. I literally wrote one thing: social media. Am I right? And that's pretty much it.
Guys, is there anybody in this room that denies the fact that you'll have a conversation, you won't search anything on your phone, and then all of a sudden on your phone you will see a product comes up that correlates directly with that conversation that you had privately? Is there anybody denying that happens?
I have not looked at one thing about wrestling, but the first ad I got served was about wrestling. Just because we've been talking about WrestleMania, I literally opened my phone just to see what kind of ad I would get, and it was a thing about buying merch for WrestleMania.
Okay.
Do we care?
The next was Hulu. You just mentioned watching a movie on Hulu. I don't remember what it was, but you said I'm going to watch it on Hulu. Yeah, you're going to watch First Omen once it goes on Hulu. I just heard the word Hulu.
I just got one for the Treaty of Zimbabwe.
That's even worse.
They're listening to us.
Things he said.
It's huge. It's a huge deal, guys.
But anyway, yeah.
So sorry for that. But
social media, am I right?
But do we actually care? Do Americans care?
Oh, I don't care. Like when the thing is when TikTok,
the whole debate over TikTok. That's
when TikTok goes Capitol Hill, every single word that a congressman brings up about it, I don't care. If I'm being honest, because guess what? The government's already got it anyway. Why do I care that somebody on TikTok has it?
This is the Chinese government.
I know it's okay as long as the U.S. government's the one taking your information. But like the truth is, and now look, they bring up like, well, what about this TikTok challenge that was a dangerous thing? Literally every social network out there does the exact same thing that TikTok does.
What if I told you
it's just Chinese doing it? The Chinese people doing it instead of American people doing it.
What if anybody remember the cinnamon challenge?
Well, a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Let's say, what if I get all my news from Facebook? Everything I get from all my news is from Facebook. Would you want to talk to me? Would you believe everything I get is from headlines from my Facebook feed? Is that not dangerous?
I think we are all dumber. I'm just going to say.
We're all dumber, and there's plenty of positives, don't get me wrong. And I think positives ultimately outweigh the negatives. You just think about negatives more than positives, because I follow hundreds, thousands of people on all these social media networks. and hardly see anything negative on any of them. But because now there's algorithms saying, hey, why don't you go to the For You page instead of just your following page, then you see some negative stuff. I mean, you talk about getting awful ads and awful things on your For You page all the time. I get it all the time on mine.
Yeah.
It's just it's like, hey, do you like this awful thing? Well, if you do, then you can see more of it.
And just know anything that you buy online, you will then see ads for that type of product from all the different competitors, nonstop, 24/7, 365. So before you buy anything that you don't want to be harassed with visually, when it comes to these advertisements, it's just the world we live in now. It's sort of how free are these services actually? Because what it is we're giving up all of our personal information, we're giving up all of our time, and we're really...
Anybody wants to know my name, number, and where I live, it's out there.
You want to go ahead and do it right now?
I don't care if Facebook knows it or not. No, you just got to work for it, but it's out there.
All right. You got to at least buy it on the dark web.
That's right.
All right, let's go to number 2 on Lunce's list of the 5 technologically advanced movies that have terrifying consequences.
So I don't know about you, Tim, but when you gave the topic list, there were 3 movies I instantly thought of. Haven't seen any of them yet.
I know one of them that will be on the list for sure. I'm sure it's going to be number 1. But number 2 is... Number 2.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Fascinating.
So this is
These
my
2 of them are
AI
on there.
pick. Basically AI pick. Where this would have been 2001 Space Odyssey here. So basically the whole point of Blade Runner is replicants, those are the robots in it, are basically built to handle slave labor, fight wars, all the kind of things humans don't want to do. And they get the free will to go and do that stuff, and they decide, hey, we're going to come back and cause a ruckus. So Blade Runners are the ones that retire replicants, aka kill them.
Ruckus.
So this basically brings up the technology of, hey, we want to create robots to go do all of our dirty work for us. And then when they turn on us, we're like, oh, what happened? I gave you free will. You should be happy. It's like, you gave me free will so I can turn on you and kill you if I want to. So this brings up kind of the AI of, we're going to reach a certain point that those Boston Dynamics robots that we always love to watch videos of are going to get the AI that we're currently playing around with on ChatGPT, and that's it. Judgment Day happens.
All right, this is the most depressing version of Lunce's list.
You
in
said
which
you
we've
wanted
done.
terrifying technology.
This was my fault. I created this.
It's like I do Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Now we're all
Shrink
victims.
yourself and a snake eats you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
But anyway, honorable mention iRobot too, because I don't know if y'all liked iRobot.
I liked
It was
iRobot.
okay. It was okay. I hated that the trailer spoiled it.
But the whole thing is, they give you there's 3 laws, but the robots have to live by. But then it's like,
Asimov.
what happens if you tell a robot to break a rule that's serving you and put it in a conflict and stuff like that? Then that kind of goes along with AI. If you set the rules of AI, which had to be set, and then ask it to break the rules, then what happens? So I liked iRobot. It's a little goofy. Shia LaBeouf really didn't have a purpose in the film, but it's kind of the same thing. Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Okay, there's only one spot left, and there's still a couple of films that I'm wondering how they didn't make the list. So maybe
blew up the
that
kid.
happens here, but we're just gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see.
Number one was the easiest choice for me, but it's probably not a movie that you thought I would have put on the list. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know. All right. Yeah.
Tyler.
I
We
mean, I
kinda
still
talked about
haven't
this.
seen any of my picks yet,
We
of
kinda-
the
we
3
kinda-
I thought John would pick, rather.
We talked about this beforehand. Me and Tyler sort of like guessing what would be on
Okay,
here.
it's none of my 3. Number 1, Minority Report.
That is a scary concept.
Okay, that is one of the
That is a
films that
scary
I thought
concept.
should have been on the list as Minority Report. So I'll give you that.
Murder.
Let's really quickly here, before we get into Minority Report, because it's going to be a discussion. Couple of films real quick. Terminator.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking Terminator 2, Judgment Day, The Matrix, and Ex Machina.
Ex Machina.
So Ex Machina I put as an honorable mention. The only thing with that is what is in Ex Machina is the same that's in Blade Runner. Really and truly. Terminator, same as in Blade Runner. Matrix, a little different, but I did have Matrix as an honorable mention. But really a lot of that has to do with creating killer robots, basically. I mean,
Primer.
and AI, piloting those killer robots. Now, Minority Report, imagine being arrested for a crime you didn't even know you were going to commit.
I love
Terrifying.
how well this movie has aged.
It's a great
Because
movie.
It really has become more and more the norm, and we're reaching a point where you are going to walk into a store and immediately it's going to know what to sell you. That's basically what we've been talking about here with our phones. But it was way ahead of its time. Spielberg behind this, Tom Cruise.
Yep.
Guys, this movie has aged incredibly well, in my opinion.
It has, and
got a lot of things right.
And basically, not only you get arrested basically for a crime you didn't know you're about to commit, or you may know you're going to commit it, but you haven't committed it yet. But on top of that, there's a lot of human interaction with it because it literally takes from 3 humans sitting in the pool, basically, that, their mind is what ends up generating it for you. So there's like not only the fear of, oh man, I didn't know I was about to create that crime, also mixed with, well, are you sure you got it right kind of thing. And that, yeah, crime has disappeared basically because you arrested all these people, but it also kind of begs the question, how many people did you arrest that may not have actually committed that crime? How many times did you get a detail wrong? Which is kind of the premise of the film, that Tom Cruise has to prove himself, that like there's a lot of technology and human interaction with it all kind of combined, that it was an easy number 1 for me.
Sometimes surveillance can be a bad thing, like Minority Report. Sometimes it can be a good thing, like when you're trying to accomplish your dietary goals. And we appreciate the surveillance.
I was waiting to see which way you were going with that.
Of our team at Way to Wellness, board certified, led by Leslie, and it's a wonderful experience every time we go in, John, and I didn't know any other way to segue out of Minority Report than to say what I said, and I stand by it.
Yes, go to the internet, which is a dangerous place, but one great place you can go is aplanforme.com, and you can learn more about our friends at Way to Wellness. Go visit Leslie and her whole board-certified team. They'll give you that consultation. They'll set you up on a plan that'll work for you, just like there's a plan that works for me, a plan that works for Tim, a plan that works for Jim Dunaway, my dad, a whole family affair there with our friends at Way to Wellness. Go to aplanforme.com. By the way, one honorable mention I really wanted to include in the list, but I didn't. I really like the movie. It's a movie called Gamer. Anybody seen that with Gerard Butler?
Yes, Gerard Butler's in that movie.
The whole thing is basically people control inmates as video game characters and play. It's almost like Fortnite before Fortnite became a thing. Basically you get put into a game and you can win your freedom if you end up winning with a real person. But it's kind of that, hey, we'll use inmates to, play our games with the technology that they can implant in them and everything. I actually thought it was a really good movie.
Could have put War Games on this list had you decided to go that route as well.
I could. And Surrogates. I don't know if anybody ever saw this terrible movie.
Yeah. Bruce Willis?
Bruce Willis, yeah. Basically, people take over fake bodies. And
horrible movie.
Awful movie. The premise is really good, I think, but a really bad movie. But basically, I just lay in bed and I buy a new body and my mind goes in that body and I basically live in that body instead while I'm rotting away in my bed. I'll also say there's one... So I said terrifying for me and other people are very different. To be honest, the world of Wall-E, I am all about. Yeah. I am all about that
Sweet
world.
Chairs.
If you can just hover around in a chair all day and play golf and do all that stuff and not even realize you're on a spaceship floating off into...
See, why didn't you say this before I went into Way to Wellness? Because it would have worked perfect.
Eva!
Anyway.
Gosh, use that material beforehand. Hey, there's a lot of things we're super excited about here on the channel. Once again, Brian Pavlik coming in tomorrow, going to be filming a lot of great stuff here when it comes to WrestleMania weekend and reacting to that. We also have our first ever retro trailer reaction that launches on the channel in about 45 minutes or so. That's the goal there with the retro trailer reaction. This week's movie is one that was picked by Rockstar, nominated by Rockstar, picked actually by Laurel out of the Dune popcorn bucket. Rockstar, for those that maybe missed that announcement on Friday, what movie was selected for our first ever retro trailer reaction?
It's the David Fincher film from 1997 starring Michael Douglas and Sean Penn called The Game. Very dramatic movie, thriller kind of who's done going to do it. Who's done did it with who, yeah.
Well, you sold it to me. I am very excited about this discussion becoming public. I'm very excited about this series that's going to be able to look back at some of the films that mean something to us, as we've all put 10 movies into a bucket, and we're going to work through every single one of them week by week in whatever order is decided by the power of the Dune popcorn bucket. Tyler, did you ever realize that the Dune popcorn bucket would become legitimately a character on this show?
I didn't. I bought that for a joke opening night for Dune.
Remind me what
I'm
it is
glad we've gotten as much mileage out of it as we have.
Remind me what it is that it sounded like when you went to go up to buy the Dune popcorn bucket. What was that interaction like? Do you remember?
Yes. Can I get the Dune popcorn bucket? Do you want a large popcorn? No. Do you want it on the side? No, thank you. Just the bucket.
Just the bucket.
Empty.
The guys at work really want me to
he
bring
blamed it
those.
on us.
Yeah, the guys at work really want me to bring
Where
one
do you
back.
work?
It's like we were hazing you or something, but we just wanted you to contribute. Well, now
You walk into love stuff. It's like they told me I had to come. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
the Dune popcorn bucket is now
Y'all got everything.
a character here on the show, and we're thrilled to
Also
be able
available
to
Yeah.
go elbow deep on the Dune popcorn
Ooh.
bucket once a week. But that's where we're at there with that.
That's why my wife's like, "Why'd y'all make me do that?"
What else do I have to promote? Because we need to move on to another topic for sure. We got a lot of exciting things happening here on the Meltdown. We have reviews for The First Omen, reviews for The Monkey Man, all up there on the channel. If you have not yet seen those, they're there for your appetite to be suppressed, like our team at Way to Wellness. No, let me ask you this, Tyler. You're going to Screen Unseen tonight. I know you're really excited about the possibilities of what this could be. What is the one movie that if you could pick it, you were just hoping that this is not the Screen Unseen? What do you hope it is? The one that you hope is not the movie selected.
The one I hope it's not, Boy Kills World. That it just looks like I'm going to be mentally checked out that whole
Yeah,
movie.
Topanga has like, oof.
If that movie comes on, will you
what
walk
I
out or
think, too.
will you watch it?
No, I'll stick through it, and I'll give you guys a out of the theater reaction tonight.
So that's happening tonight. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button on this video. It really does help us on YouTube especially. But Tyler going to do a Screen Unseen tonight. And John, in terms of technology and in terms of games, in terms of everything that we encompass here on The Meltdown, our title sponsor, MyBookie, is where it's happening.
Go to mybookie.ag. March Madness Championship tonight between Purdue and UConn. Purdue, 7-point favorite. I think they can cover that one. Go and bet that. Or if you think UConn's going to roll like they did against Alabama, you can go and bet that as well. Also, Major League Baseball, hockey about to end the regular season, NBA about to end the regular season, head to the playoffs. Also, you can pretty much bet anything. The Champions League, I think, starts back Wednesday. I think there's 2 matches on Wednesday. So go bet all that. Bet the slots. Play in the live casino. Play the horses. Play the lotto. Do anything you want to. Promo code next round. Use promo code next round to get a first deposit bonus there from us. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with our friends at mybookie.ag.
We appreciate Tyler producing today. We appreciate the contributions of Rockstar and all of his wrestling knowledge.
I don't.
We appreciate John Lunsford for being a little bit salty before we got to Lunce's list, talking about WrestleMania 40.
Story of my
We
life.
appreciate all of you, the viewers that make this thing a reality. Thank you for being here for us as we continue to grow this thing week after week. Your help really does help us push across the finish line each and every week, and we appreciate all of your contributions. We'll be back tomorrow for another live edition of The Meltdown starting at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.